Many people don't understand what workers' comp is, let alone what kind of benefits are available to them. So today I want to cover the 5 classifications of workers' comp benefits in California. There's some other ones, but we'll go into those after the fact. The 5 major ones are temporary disability, permanent disability, supplemental job displacement benefit, medical treatment, and death benefits. Temporary disability is a benefit that's paid to you while you're off of work recovering for an injury. It's usually based on 2/3 of your average weekly wage, subject to minimums and maximums, which means if you don't make enough money, you'll get higher. You'll get the minimum. If you make too much money, well, you won't get the full 2/3 of what you're making, unfortunately, before you're injured. There is typically a 2-year cap within a 5-year period based on your date of injury, unless you have a different type of injury like hepatitis or a high-velocity eye injury and amputation and such. In those injuries, you can actually get up to 240 weeks of temporary disability. The idea being that they're more serious and likely you need more time to recover. Permanent disability is a benefit that's not based on wage loss, but it's actually designed to compensate you for the residual functional limitation you have from an injury. Meaning if you have lack of range of motion in your shoulder, or you have a diagnosis-based estimate disability like a herniated disc in your spine, that you'll have a corresponding monetary disability award for that injury. Of course, that's based on adjusting for things like age, occupation, idea being that injuries affect people different ways. So an injury for someone who's a typist may be different for someone who is an electrical engineer or firefighter. So permanent disability is typically paid out after temporary disability is done once you've reached permanent and stationary status. Of course, the third type of benefit, medical treatment, is something that you're given throughout the duration of your case. And even once your case is done, if doctors feel as though there is an ongoing need for medical treatment, and they can associate that need with your date of injury. And theoretically, that could continue on forever. And ultimately, when you get ready to settle your case, you will typically have an option to try to negotiate a settlement where the insurance company buys out your medical care, or a settlement in which you keep your open medical care award indefinitely. And again, that can be a lifetime award, sometimes invaluable depending upon the type of injury and what your medical needs are. The next type of benefit is called the supplemental job displacement voucher, and that is a vocational retraining type benefit. And ultimately, if you're displaced from your employment because of permanent work restrictions, meaning that the employer can't offer you permanent modified work lasting 12 months or longer, that you're entitled to a supplemental benefit up to $6,000 in reimbursement, and that's designed to help you re-educate or retrain to get back into the workforce with your disability in mind. The idea is that you're forced out of your employment, and so you need a little boost to re-educate or retrain yourself so that you can get back in there and continue working with an ongoing disability. California has a benefit that's kind of a piggyback benefit to that. It's called the Return to Work Supplement. And if you're eligible for the supplemental job displacement benefit, then you also can apply for the Return to Work Supplement, which is a state benefit of up to $5,000. It's typically a lump sum payment that's issued to you that's designed to help you compensate for lost income following being displaced from your employment. The idea being that the state wants to help you out. Again, if you lost your job, you're probably in a tough spot. Of course, it's kind of sad because the insurance company should be taking care of everything. Why is our state of California having to supplement what's legally required? It tells you about where the state of workers' comp is in California, unfortunately. Last type of benefit is death benefits. Ultimately, in California, if your death causes injury, or excuse me, your injury causes death immediately, just you fall off a roof or you're hit by a bus, whatever the case may be, it's instantaneous, you're entitled to death benefits. Additionally, in California, if your injury hastens your death in any tangible way, you're also entitled to death benefits. And typically we see cases where post-injury people have surgical complications, reactions to medication, or simply their condition deteriorates, largely due to things like cancer or other degenerative conditions that ultimately result in death. Those are all situations in which you can be awarded death benefits. Of course, if you're not around, a death benefit goes to your dependents, not you or your estate. So that means upon death, if you do have financial dependents, which could be a spouse, children, or other extended family that you care for, they would be entitled to the statutory amount. And the statutory amount of death benefits is largely based on the number of dependents you have. So for example, if you have one dependent, you will get less than if you have 2 dependents. If you have 3 dependents or more, the amount is even more, and it may be split between them. If you have partial dependents, and those are people who don't qualify as total dependents, meaning you have a spouse earning more than $30,000 a year, or you have some other family member who lives with you and you only partially support them, then the amount of support the death benefit they get is based on 8 times the annual support that you provide up to the subject minimums or maximums. So it's a really complicated process for calculating death benefits, but know it's there in case you do die. Your loved ones are taken care of in most respects. Of course, the money that you get is not enough to replace a loved one in your family, but it's what we have to work with, unfortunately, in the workers' comp system. In addition to that, there are other benefits like mileage reimbursement. You can also receive reimbursement for out-of-pocket medical expenses if your case was denied and you were forced to foot the bill while we were fighting it out for you. And other benefits may include access to special consults, doctors, things like that. And generally speaking, those are the 5 main benefits that you get in your workers' comp case.